All right, let's try that again. We are back. Yesterday, we got 11 minutes into a run. We're just gonna, kill this one, even though I think we were kind of crushing it. We got 11 minutes into a run. My daughter threw up like 4 times, and then my wife said, "Let's go to the clinic." And I said, "You know what? That's a good idea." Because she was sick last week, and I was kind of like borderline on whether we needed to see a doctor. Then she got over it. And then when she was throwing up after, I was like, okay, let's not take chances with this one. As you know, I have some trauma associated with the Canadian medical system. We drove to an urgent care clinic where we waited in line for 20 minutes while my daughter threw up in a garbage bag in my arms. And then when we got to the front, they were like, "Next patient, please." We got up there. They didn't even listen to us. They just said, "Sorry, we're at capacity for today." We said, "Okay, what should we do?" They said, "Well, if it's an emergency, go to the emergency room. And if it's not an emergency, then you can come back in 4 or 5 hours and we might have extra space for you." So they basically said, like, "You can't be sick today." And I said, "Thanks for your time. Wouldn't it maybe behoove you to put a sign on the door or something so people are not waiting in a room full of people who are coughing and hacking their lungs out just to be told there's no reason for them to be there to begin with? Your tax dollars at work." So then we drove another 30 minutes to a hospital. We went to the emergency room where I'm sure if you're an emergency room doctor, it sucks ass. You're like, why are people in here with like tummy aches? Well, it's because the family doctors are all on holiday. The urgent care clinics are non-functional unless you planned on being sick and thus showed up before they even opened up so you could actually get one of those coveted appointment spots. So that's why everyone's at the emergency room. And then the emergency room was honestly fine. They got us into a room. We were in the emergency room for like 4 or 5 hours, but that's just kind of par for the course. And everything was okay. Our daughter stopped throwing up and then was like, "I'm bored." And we're like, "I know, but we're here because of you." And she's like, "I want to go. I'm bored." And we're like, "Lady, we're here because of you. You just sit down and relax. Don't worry about it too much." So everything's okay. But yesterday was kind of a wash, that's for sure. But we're back. The cheese sandwich was the prescription. I'm not mad at the doctor, okay? I'm not smart, but I'm at least smart enough to know that, like, if you're a doctor and someone comes in and says, "My kid's been vomiting," but they're not vomiting anymore, and then like all the tests come back negative and their heart rate is normal, their blood pressure is normal, their temperature is normal, like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna like give them some Molly Percocet just so that they like don't feel like they wasted their time? That's not in keeping with the Hippocratic Oath. But basically, the doctor did just say, like, my diagnosis is vomiting without cause. And then she said, we're going to get her a cheese sandwich. And if she digests it well for like 30, 45 minutes, then we're just going to send you home. So in hindsight, this is it's not a prisoner's dilemma. I guess it's just, this is what it's like to go to the emergency room for almost anything that's not like acute trauma caused by like a car accident or something. But you're like, do I really need to go to the emergency room? You take that bet. Sometimes you say yes, sometimes you say no. This was one where, in hindsight, the answer was probably no, but there's no way for us to have known, which is why we shouldn't have been the emergency room to begin with, but that's what the urgent care is supposed to be for. But then the urgent care is full of people that should have been at their family doctor, but their family doctor doesn't take appointments anymore. So the whole system is like collapsing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I want a cheese sandwich. That's POV, you're me after sitting in the emergency room for 4 hours and your daughter gets like the worst cheese sandwich of all time, but it looks so fucking delicious because you're starving. That's okay. You don't even need me to tell you what my wife got for lunch after that, or for dinner, I suppose. You don't even need me to say it, bro. You don't need me to say it. You know, she's got the emote on her, and you know what? She was right. It hit the spot. It was very tasty. Marbles me. Macros in chat be like marbles me. Did they have Diet Coke in the emergency room? No, they didn't have shit, bro. This is not like a cruise. Although I will say I made a joke to my daughter. I said like, ooh. I said, I wonder what they're going to serve for lunch. And then she started being like, I wonder what they're going to serve for lunch. I want pizza. And I had to be like, I'm sorry, this is not that kind of place. They will not be serving us anything for lunch. Hey, Brian, thanks for the gifted subscriptions. Thank you. How would I fix it? Well, listen, it's not my area of expertise. It's not yours either, DL Guiga, but that's never stopped you. And I respect that for you. But here's what I'll say. Chat doesn't like it when I say it. We, in my opinion, we would be fine if we doubled the amount of spots in med school. I recognize that this was an aberrant, or maybe this was the normal situation. By the way, Serval Simp, thank you as well for the gifted subscriptions. Thank you. Like, you don't need to do a 4-year undergrad and then, you know, like, I don't know how many years of medical school plus how many years of residency in order to tell my daughter, like, you know, use a stethoscope on her and then also give her a cheese sandwich. Now, that's not what every case is going to be like in the emergency room. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like if we simply had more doctors, it would alleviate the situation mightily. That being said, if we had more doctors, necessarily the average, back me up on this, DL Guiga, the average skill level of a doctor would fall by some level. I can't say if it's a lot or a little, but I think we could use slightly shittier doctors. Obviously, some doctors need to be incredibly smart. And in general, I don't want like, you know, people who are not academically motivated to be in charge of my health. But that being said, if people who get into med school are like the top 2% academically, we could probably make it like the top 4% academically, and I think we'd largely be fine. Based on nothing at all. Based on my hunch. Yeah, can't we just have like a lower tier of doctor? Not as like, not lower tier as like a human being, but lower tier as like, you know, they have less urgent responsibilities, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Pyromaniac. This is the secret room. Don't mess with me. What is this? No, thank you, sir. I would like a battery charge, though. I want the good doctor, though. Well, here's the thing. If I'm getting open heart surgery, I want the best doctor. I don't want the good doctor, because that's the dude from the TV show, right? I am a surgeon. I am a surgeon. But if I'm just like in the emergency room and I'm like, I basically just need you to give me a cup to do a urine sample and then antibiotics for whatever in my urine, I don't really mind if you're like a bottom quartile doctor. Let the Poindexter Andes like do the Dr. House stuff. You just interpret my results. It'll even have like a little asterisk next to the thing that you're supposed to look at. And then you just type that into the computer there and it'll tell you what antibiotics to give me, and that should be totally fine. Plus, I'm already getting, like, bottom quartile doctors. I'm not saying the doctors I have are bad. I'm just saying there's no way for me to possibly evaluate that, you know, at runtime. It's not like you go to the ER and they're like, you know, you can have a good doctor in 10 hours or we can just give you whoever's available next. Like, you just get whoever's available, bro. They're already, when you come in with a tummy ache, they're probably giving you the shitty doctor anyway, because the good doctor is like removing shrapnel from somebody's skull. That's my guess. Again, I have no idea essentially how it works. Last time I saw my GP, he was actually Googling my symptoms in front of me. I think it's like what it should be, right? Like, you can't expect like you walk into your doctor's office and then, you know, you tell him you got a sore throat and a tummy ache, and then the dude is like, oh, I know you've got toxoplasmosis, right? Like you can't have an encyclopedic knowledge of absolutely every possible condition out there. Is that why they go into the room? You tell them the symptoms, then they go, oh, I'll be back in just a minute. Then they go WebMD it in the other room so that they're not embarrassed. I think they should be able to do it in front of you. Anytime I'm on like a Zoom call, I'm not pretending I've got the doc memorized. I'm looking at the PDF right there. Well, pretend I'm moving the PDF to a spot on my monitor that makes it look like I'm making eye contact with them, but actually I'm scanning the doc as they're talking. But don't get mad at me if I self-diagnosed with WebMD, if you're just going to diagnose me with WebMD. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm not saying I want shitty doctors. I just want more doctors. Like if I had $1 million. Maybe you're right, the Ugly Guy. Maybe I am saying I want shittier doctors. Is it possible that doctors are, and they make mistakes, but so does everybody. Is it possible that doctors are too good already? They're overeducated? I don't know. I'm not saying we need like a Silicon Valley-based startup to solve this problem. Maybe we could just like add an extra like 20 chairs per year at the University of British Columbia medical program. I think it also kind of sucks to be a GP, to be fair. Like, ignoring the economics of it. Because aren't there only, like, unless you have something incredibly specific, aren't there like 8 symptoms for every disease on the planet? And it's just like the flavoring combinations thereof is what determines what you have? Like everything is some combination of like sneezing, fever, runny nose, sore throat, shortness of breath, weight loss, weight gain, hives, pain, or like can't sleep, sleep too much, cough, diarrhea. Yeah, or rash. That's it. You're like, well, you could have like, it could be totally fine. You could have the common cold, or your kidneys could be failing. I also think it probably sucks to be a doctor because, at least in the emergency room, people don't want to feel like they wasted 8 hours in there. That's why I had sympathy for our doctor. When she told us we don't really know what caused the vomiting, but she seems fine now. If she continues to be fine, I wouldn't worry about it. First instinct is like, bro, why are we even here? Second instinct was like, what is she supposed to do? She's supposed to be like, thanks for coming. Here's some pills anyway. Just to say thank you for your continued service. We don't want to lose your business here. Here's a couple fentanyl lollipops for the road. I think that's fair. She couldn't, there's nothing she could have done to really make me happy in that situation. I was just happy to hear that my child was okay. The other clinic, though, where we waited in line surrounded by sick people for 20 minutes just to be told, hey, you shouldn't be here anyway, we're full. Even though the fucking website said that they had a 55-minute wait time. What? The website doesn't work? Why are you posting the website as if it works? Anyway, I was like, when I was driving to the other hospital, I was like, I'm going to take the ferry to Victoria and do like a filibuster on our premiere because this shit does not work. It's broken, bro. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, she's totally fine. In fact, she was so fine by the time we got discharged from the hospital that I was like a little mad at her. Because she started to be like, obviously she wasn't faking it. But I was like, why'd you throw up? And she's like, I'm bored. And I'm like, yeah. We would be playing right now if you hadn't thrown up. I didn't actually say that. I was like, oh, Daddy's bored too. But in my head, I was like, I'm bored too. But anyway, it's good that she's okay. Also, we parked in the short-term parking lot. It said 2-hour maximum. We parked there fucking 5.5 hours, didn't get a parking ticket. I'd take that as an absolute dub. But then I was like, you know what? You gotta be some kind of ghoul to call a tow truck on somebody in the hospital parking lot. That's actually like Ebenezer coded. That's my job. I feel bad for you. Because, like, I know you're just making ends meet. Your boss is going to burn in hell for eternity, though. You're probably fine. You're just the cog in the machine. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the mechanism. Your boss is he's going to suffer for eternity. You're probably okay. Not just because you're here. I'm saying that in all honesty. I'm the boss. Well, you know, I fuck you, basically. But you didn't tell me, so it's all good. So don't fuck you. But, like, I don't know. I got to think about it. We'll lead as two kings. Just in general, I'm like, bro, here's my thoughts on towing. Now, admittedly, I'm not someone who owns a parking lot, okay? When is towing okay? If someone parks their car in a place where traffic cannot flow, like the lane is supposed to be for driving, but they have parked in it, they should be towed. One time, I went to an appointment at the bank. I parked in front of the bank. The appointment went long. I didn't realize that the lane became non-parking driving only for rush hour. So when I went out, my car had been towed. And I said, that sucks. But then after like a minute, I was like, that's fair. I was blocking something I shouldn't have been blocking. I just didn't realize. No, thank you. If you are simply in a parking spot too long, you can't tow somebody for that, man. At least not over for like an hour. I think that over for like a day, like if they're there overnight, you can tow for them. Because towing is going to ruin somebody's day. They're going to get out, probably need to go somewhere. Oh, my car is not here. Now I got to take my ass, across town in an Uber, go to a tow lot where they're going to be like, oh, it's, $200 to get your car back. And you got to be like, wah, 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 that's too much money. And they're like, what are you going to do about it? And you're like, you got me there. Good point. Here's your money. In the USA, it's like 300. This is not your fault. You're the victim of this, not the perpetrator. And this happens every time I have to interface with doctors in Canada. You can't talk about it because Americans half rightfully think that the whole world revolves around them. So anytime you're like, I had a shitty experience, people are like, yeah, but at least it didn't cost you $1,500. And I'm like, just shut up, man. People are just complaining. They have the right to complain. It's like, why are there only 2 Americans? We're number 1. We're number 1. And then the other half of the country is like, we're number fucking however many countries there are in the world. We're number 214. We're number 214. Like, let people just talk, bro. Like 95% of the world doesn't live in your country, okay? So we get to talk too, okay? In fact, I almost think that Canadians are God's strongest soldiers. Because if you ever talk about anything that costs money, or any service, here's what you get. You get 700 million Europeans going, actually, in Denmark, school is free. And then you get 400 million Americans going, actually, in America, school's like $1 million. And you're like, okay, buddy, I guess this one's just for the Canadians. Fuck me for living in the country in which I live, bro. We can only relate to other motherfuckers from Moose Jaw for some reason. Listen, we should do it, but naively, I think I can fit in 2 Isaac runs before Luddy shows up at 10 a.m. today. Nothing about South America? I don't know, because the only thing I know about South America is that people in chat type, come to Brazil all the time. But I don't think that many of them actually live in Brazil. I think it's like a meme. It's a bit of a meme, right? He asked me if I speak Spanish. How do you know that DL Guiga is from Brazil? Don't worry, he'll tell you. By suggesting 30-minute Camilla Ramon, I don't even know, music on Espanol rides. Stop hitting me! I know it's Portuguese, but they don't make music in Portuguese rides. They make music on Espanol rides. Now, there are Portuguese songs, but they're not listed as Portuguese for some reason. They're listed as English. And I don't respect lying. Anyway. But mostly it's pretty cool. I just feel like you need to... I mean, like, I banned someone from the stream yesterday. And they have not made an unban request, which could mean 2 things. It could mean that either they're like, whatever, fuck this dude for banning me, which is their right. Or they're like, you know what, there's no coming back from that one. They said, when I was like, oh, I've got to go, my daughter needs to go to the hospital, they wrote, good 30-minute workday, see you tomorrow. And I just hit /ban, first 3 letters of their name, autocomplete. And then I typed their exact message. I said, see you tomorrow in the unban requests, my man. I might have said my guy. I might have taken it to the next level. You gotta acknowledge anybody leaving the emergency room or the hospital in any capacity. One of the #1 rules of comedy, according to Ricky Gervais, you gotta read the room, okay? Nobody's happy in that situation. Nobody wants to laugh. So when, you know, you're like, hey, my child is okay, and you're like, I hate the healthcare system of the country you don't live in, I'm just like, shut up. Nobody's talking about that, bro. I don't work for Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Kaiser Permanente, whatever. Just be like, you know, either say nothing or be like, happy to hear it. You got to read the room. Not everything is an opportunity for a joke. Take it from me, I feel the call of the void constantly. Anytime one of my friends is like, here's some fucked up shit that happened to me, like the first thing that I think about in my head, not on purpose, by the way, but just in general, is like, you know what would be a fucking crazy joke here? Is if I completely ignored the situation and kind of teased them a little bit about this thing that obviously they're sensitive about. And when I was 12, I was like, people don't understand. Comedy is the thing that heals everybody. It helps, it brings us closer. And then at age, you know, whatever I am now, 47, I'm like, you know what? That can wait. This is not the time. You learn that over time. It's crazy when you see a first-time chat highlighted in that box and it's an essay. That is a comment you could not pay me to read it, quite frankly, because it is coming from a place of, I mean, if your first message is an essay, if that's what motivated you to exit lurk mode, God, more power to you, by the way. But I will not be reading that. That's the scariest thing I could imagine. Hey, in Rainbow 09, thank you for the gifted subscriptions, by the way. Thank you. Thank you so much. Y'all can laugh. Wait, okay, hang on. Let's see. Let's see. /user. Let's read it, because I was rude. Man, following since April 2nd of this year. First message in chat. That's kind of crazy. Americans are sensitive to Canadian bitching about healthcare because many people had friends or family die or go into bankruptcy over lack of access. Yeah, but like, Listen, you've backed me into a corner because you basically said like shit sucks here more than it sucks. Shit sucks there more than it sucks here, which I believe, to be honest with you. Every time, like I used to be in the habit of like complaining to my brother-in-law who is American. I would be like, our healthcare system is falling apart. And he would be like, I'd describe the exact situation to him, and he would be like, yeah, it's exactly the same in the United States of America, but you have to pay money for it. And I was like, no, you don't get it. That's not possible because it's so bad here. Like, it feels like just adding, but my idea of America is like, oh, you've got a problem, it's unsolvable. But then if you pull like a crisp $100 bill out of your pocket, they like drive up to your house in a limousine and give you like a liver transplant or something like that. But that's my own bias. Apparently it is bad everywhere and you have to pay for it. That being, or bad at least in here and there, and you have to pay for it. But at the same time, like, not everybody complaining about the healthcare system where they live is an invitation for you to air your grievances with the United States of America. There's a lot of reasons I don't live there. I wasn't born there. They probably wouldn't take me. I don't really understand how the immigration system works. You know, just like let people complain, bro. You can be sensitive about it. I'm sensitive when Americans talk about like college basketball because like nobody fucking watches that shit up here. I'm like, what the fuck is Connecticut? What the fuck is University of Connecticut? You're like, how do you like the Huskies this year? I'm like, brother, the dog hasn't changed in like 2,000 years. What are we talking about here? Oh, in Canada, the fucking University of Ottawa GGs are really good this year. I don't say that. I just go, Oh, the Carleton Ravens they've really been impressive this season. Hey, Even Ground, thanks for the gifted subscriptions. Thank you. My health's okay. Don't even worry about it. Bombs heal you? So true! So true, bombs heal me! Thank you. Do worry about it. What about the Rough Riders? Do you think they stand a chance against the Rough Riders? Antiquated bit. There is now only one Rough Rider team in the Canadian Football League in Saskatchewan. The Ottawa team is now called the Ottawa Red Blacks. Now, why is it called that? I don't know, because like everybody else living in Canada, I don't pay attention to Canadian football. But sometimes it do be on TSN Sports Center highlights. And thus you are forced to see it. This way. There is a Canadian Football League. It's crazy. I need VIP Daniel's help on this one. What are the differences? It's before you're a turnover on downs, you only have 3 downs instead of 4 downs. So you only get 2 plays to advance the chains before typically you would punt. Also, there's something called a rouge. I'm not 100% familiar with what a rouge is in Canadian football, but it's different. And then I believe the field is 10 yards, or as we call them, meters. I think it's 10 meters longer. And then the frickin' the end zone, or not the end zone, but the uprights are like in the end zone. So there's always that possibility of like a catastrophic head injury from someone running in for a touchdown and then smashing into the uprights. Don't kill me! I placed a bomb in the corner so I wouldn't die.